welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Taylor and happy Bookmas Day 2. But before I open the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you love all things books. We're kicking off the first week of December, the first week of Bookmas, with some holiday book recs. You should have already seen Bookmas Day 1, which was my November reading wrap-up. So now we're going to really dive into the holiday spectacular of it all. Now, if you've been following me for a couple years, you will know for a fact that I love me a good cheesy holiday romance. While I do say I can kind of be a bit bah humbug about the holidays, for many reasons, there's something about holiday media that really scratches that perfect itch in my brain, and I have 10 book recs here that I think will satisfy most everyone's desires. Now, all of these are in the holiday romance category of some sort. I do think for my holiday reading vlogs this year, we will be branching out and trying out some slightly different genres in the holiday seasonal sphere, so maybe you'll get some recs from there, but most of these follow that holiday romance genre. So we still have some cutesy small town romances next up to some really filthy kind of holiday erotica selection. So I think you'll have something for everyone here who's looking in that vein. But I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the recs. My first recommendation is one that I pretty much give every year, and yes, I do have a physical copy of it, but since I don't have any physical copies of the other books, I'm just going to be putting them up on the screen, and that is Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison. Now, she did release a new holiday romance this year, Good Spirits, and that will be coming up in a future holiday reading vlog, and I've heard great things about that one, but she did kick off her writing journey, or at least her popularity, with Lovelight Farms, which is the first book in an interconnected standalone series, which is a small town romance series, with each book being set in specific seasons, and Lovelight Farms is specifically set in the winter season. So you kick off in October and you end up at, Christmas time by the end of the book. But if you don't know anything about this, Lovelight Farms follows Stella, who is the recent owner of a Christmas tree farm that's not doing so hot financially. So she enters herself into an influencer, contest where basically this influencer comes in and interviews small business owners in order to get them press and publicity and hopefully drum up traffic and maybe eventually win some money. The only problem is on the application she says she owns the Christmas tree farm with her boyfriend. Problem is she doesn't have a boyfriend, and she enlists her best friend Luca of 10 years to be her fake date or her fake boyfriend. And the only problem is it seems like they both had a crush on each other for years. They just aren't ready to acknowledge their feelings. And of course, romance ensues from there. This one is so sweet, so cute. In terms of spiciness, it's got a very small amount of spice in that 70 to 80% mark after that. And if you're looking for they aren't childhood friends lovers because they meet when they're adults, but if you're looking for a heartwarming friends to lovers, it's always been you situation, this one is probably the vibes. And if you're really just wanting to listen to Christmas Tree Farm by Taylor Swift over and over again, also probably the vibe. Next up, we have a queer fantasy romance situation for Christmas. Now, this is my least favorite of Sarah Raich's works that I've read so far, but I feel like it's a good introduction to the sort of fantastical world that Sarah tends to write, and that is The Nightmare Before Kissmas. And according to StoryGraph, it is described as red, white, and royal blue meets The Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know if that's particularly true or not, but I will say, for Sarah Raich, if you are looking for swoon-worthy lines, the things that just make you go, oh my goodness, this one, their writing is quite for you. So The Nightmare Before Christmas follows Nicholas, aka Cole Klaus. He is the first son of Santa Claus, and Santa Claus in this world is kind of a bit of a Christmas mob boss, and I don't know how else to describe it. But Cole has kind of been known for his shenanigans, kind of always going a little bit off the wagon, but he is having to assume more responsibility now that he has an arranged marriage to his best friend Iris, who is the first princess of Easter. The only problem is that neither of them really want to get married, but they're still besties, so they're going along for the fun of it. Only problem is that Nicholas may or may not be developing a thing for the first prince of Halloween. And I think his name is Hex. And of course, Hex and Nicholas are forced to spend a week or two together because the fall holidays and the winter holidays are kind of at odds right now, and they're trying to mend fences. However, those Fences may or not be mended, but you know what? These two will definitely be ending up in the bedroom. Now, this one, I will say, gets a little spicy, but not as spicy as some of the other books. So just keep that in mind. If you want to continue on with Sarah Raish, this one is probably the least spicy that I've read so far. I will say, to really, really love this story, you gotta buy into some of that absurdist plot, which is some of the reason that I don't necessarily love it as much as my other recommendations on this list. But if you can buy into it, it's fun, it's swoon-worthy, it's a grand old time. And I feel like if you just want like a cutesy little moment, I will also say there are some hard topics discussed in this book, so do check your trigger warnings. But yeah, I think it's a fun little fantasy romance for Christmas. Next up is a spicy holiday novella by one of my favorite authors, and that is Talia Hibbert. And this one is Merry Inkmas. So this one follows Cash and Bailey. Cash is essentially a bad boy tattoo artist with a heart of gold and a lot of cash. And he hires Bailey on as his receptionist after she loses her job while trying to help one of the homeless people in her area by giving him a free meal. But of course, there's the problem. Cash has a bit of a thing for Bailey, and working in such close proximity, well, man, that just turns into a bit of an issue when they're trying to keep their hands off each other and keep everything professional. But of course, things go from professional to romantic real quick. If one of your favorite microtropes is he draws her, or he draws something for you, or he tattoos on you, this one is for you. And you know what? You've also got a plus size BIPOC FMC. It is very much so like Heart of Gold, very much so Christmassy, cutesy. It's 186 pages, so it's a relatively quick read. I mean, she's not the quickest and spiciest novella I will give you, but she is a fun little filthy time if you're looking for one. Next up is a holiday novella that probably made me feel the most things while reading it, and that is Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood. Now, I have yet to read a full-length Ali Hazelwood novel, but her novellas have been getting me. I am enjoying what she's giving us. So this is a childhood friends to lovers story, and it's actually interesting because instead of, being in love with her best friend's older brother, she's in love with her best friend's younger brother. But there's only like a 2-year age gap. But hey, if you want to listen to Best Friend's Brother by Victoria Justice over and over again, this might be for you. So we are following Jamie, who's a pediatric surgeon or nurse. She works in pediatrics, and let's just say she's having a bit of a tough time with life in general. But it's been a year since some bad drama went down with her best friend's brother, Mark. And Mark has always had a thing for Jamie since they were kids. And she's kind of known it, but she's been pushing it off because there's just a lot of things going on in her life. And she just doesn't know if she is quite ready to take on this relationship. But one night when she goes over to Mark's family's house trying to get like a pan or something for Christmas, they get snowed in. And of course, she is forced to confront her feelings with Mark in a little bit of a game. And of course, the romance rekindles and comes forth there. She's sweet, she's cute. You are forced to address some slightly harder topics given like their professions that they work in. She works as a pediatric nurse, so there's lots of heavy topics there. But if you're looking for a cutesy little snowed-in romance with some heartwarming moments to it, this one might be for you. This next one is for my monster romance people, and given what I tend to read on this channel, there's probably at least a few of you out there, because you know how I feel about certain monster romances, particularly Kimberly Lemming's Mead Mishap series. So this is book 1.5 in that series. That series is slated, I think, as a series of interconnected standalones, but I do think that you should read them in order. This one, however, can be given or taken. So this is a holiday monster romance novella following our FMC, who I can't seem to find her name here, but her father's essentially like blacksmith shop has been cursed by a fox demon, and now every single like weapon that they make basically starts spewing out profanity and vulgar language no matter what, and it's keeping off the customers. So she decides to take the trespassing trek into the woods and confront the fox demon Luca, and Luca proposes that she be his fake date or fake fate mate for the upcoming winter festival. And of course, while they're there, filthy romantic things ensue. And it is Kimberly Lemming, so she gets interesting with some of the things that get down. She's short, she's spicy, she's quite fun and cutesy. So yeah, if you want something funny and filthy, this one might be for you. So next is another snowed in romance. Now this one is really more of a winter romance, not necessarily a Christmas romance. So if you're looking for something that just gives general winter vibes, this this one might be for you. So this is a queer adult romance called Marshmallow Mountain by M.A. Wardell and A.J. Truman. And if you know anything about those two, there will be spice and there will in fact be hard topics addressed. So you're following Marshall and Marshall. However, they go by Marshall and Dada, so that's how I will refer to them in order to like differentiate them. They have been in a long-term relationship for 8 years. However, Marshall recently just broke it off with Dada after Marshall basically could not handle the weight of his father's diagnosis, his failing comedy career, and so on and so forth. However, they still own a cabin up in the mountains that they need to sell, so Marshall's calling up Dada and being like, hey, I'm going to go up to the mountain and, get it ready. And Dad is like, well, I'm going to go up there and help you. And the only thing is that while they're trying to get everything sorted out, they get snowed in for about 3 days. And of course, they are forced to confront why their relationship fell apart and whether or not they actually want their relationship to be over. So yeah, there's a lot of heartwarming and sad things discussed in this book. So if you're looking for some serious topics of conversation, this one might be for you. Next up is a small town romance with complicated family dynamics, and that is My December Darling by Lauren Asher. Now this one is another 5-star holiday read for me. It gave me Dr. Darling, and I'm just gonna say thank you, Lauren, for that. Now, it is pitched as a holiday novella. However, it is 252 pages, so it's actually about 50 or so pages over that novella mark. So really just think of it more as a shorter holiday romance book. So this one is following Catalina, who is a travel nurse who is spending the holidays at home with her sister and her mother because her sister is about to marry Catalina's ex-boyfriend. However, Catalina can admit that she and her ex just weren't that suited to each other. In fact, she always kind of had a thing for her ex's best friend, and that is Dr. Luke Darling. And Luke kind of has a thing for Catalina. The only problem is Catalina never stays in one place for too long. She's constantly picking up new jobs as a travel nurse. However, Luke is doing his best to convince Catalina that there's something worth staying for here. And of course, romance ensues from there. So this is a little novella that takes place in her Lakefront Billionaire series. However, you do not have to read these to get any context regarding the other two. It just really is cutesy small town romance. And so up next is another book by M.A. Wardell, and this is the second book in his Teacher in Love series. Now, these are a series of interconnected standalones, so you can read them by themselves. And this is Misletoe Mishigas. So this is a cutesy little grumpy sunshine read that also deals with harder topics regarding PTSD and mental health on the part of Theo. So we're following Sheldon and Theo. Theo is the elementary school's janitor, and Sheldon is the new first grade teacher. Now they meet for the first time when Theo is tasked with helping Sheldon set up his classroom before school starts, and then a series of events lead them to become fake dates for their respective holiday gatherings. One of those being Sheldon's ex's wedding over Christmas, and of course Theo just having his parents over. And of course we have a mixing of Hanukkah and Christmas going on and so forth. It's spicy, it's heartwarming, there's lots of tears to be shed, especially with Theo learning how to deal with his PTSD and learning how to sort of have someone there with him to help him through the hard times. And man, it's cute. Plus there's one of the students in this book, so like if you're a teacher, one of the students and like the relationship that Theo built with one of the students is just so cute and so sweet. I just think it's a good heartwarming holiday romance, and this one of course is also queer. These last two that I'm going to be recommending to you are pretty much just straight holiday erotic novellas, so if that's what you're looking for, these might be up your alley. The first one is Trick Shot by Kayla Gross, and if you're looking for plus size FMCs in your books, this author is definitely for you. And this one also features a polyamorous queer relationship, and I mean, we don't get too many of those that I can really find represented well in media, so this one could be something that, you haven't read quite as much before. So we are following Leo, Riley, and Jace. Leo's famous hockey player brother just happens to look exactly like him. They might be twins, some would say. And one night when he is waiting for his flight home for the holidays, he runs into Riley at the airport, and she mistakes him for his famous brother. However, their flight gets delayed and Leo's kind of really intrigued by Riley, so he invites her back to his apartment he shares with his friends with benefits pal, Jace, and he proposes a little bit of a spicy threesome situation. However, after one fun night, they are left reeling because they're like, they don't want to let each other go, but Riley still doesn't know who Leo really is. And of course, it's fun, it's spicy, it's just, And yeah, I like it. And there's a little holiday epilogue to get involved with. There's also a sequel to this following Leo's brother and Riley's sister for Valentine's Day, if that's up your alley. The final book is Toasty Inside by Zoe Mona. So this is a snowed-in holiday erotica. We are following Cynthia and Griffin. Cynthia is going on a little hike in the mountains of her hometown when the snow gets real bad, so she ends up having to shack up with Griffin, the town recluse, and she discovers that he is in fact the owner and inventor behind her favorite sex toy company. And Griffin, well, given the forced proximity, invites her to try out his latest, inventions. And of course, lots of spicy things ensue from there. It's age gap, he looks like Santa, and there's a lot of fun things, and of course, grumpy sunshine. You know what? You like me a grumpy mountain man who kind of looks like Santa, who's into some very filthy things. And yeah, that's the last of my holiday book recommendations. Let me know what you're planning on reading this holiday. If you've already read all the books on this list, what's on your TBR? And in fact, guess what Bookmas Day 3 will be coming up on Friday? It's my own holiday TBR, and I will see y'all in the next one.